Hello, and thank you for joining us for this virtual conversation about Be Internet Legends from Google and Parent Zone. Today, we're going to be talking about helping your children to be safer and more confident online. My name's Chelsea, and I'm part of Parent Zone's Be Internet Legends team. I've been teaching this in schools for about 3 years now, and I'll be stopping to respond to your thoughts and your questions as we go along. We've also got our expert Tim in the chat box, so feel free to ask any question that pops into your head. Remember, there is no such thing as a bad question. In fact, I'm going to ask you some questions as we go along, so make sure you've got those typing fingers ready. Now, before we start, I just want to check that everybody can see me and the pictures around me. If the quality of your video isn't very good, I'd recommend pressing refresh in your browser. And then whether you're watching on a tablet or a phone or a computer, you'll notice a little cog in the bottom right hand of your screen. So click on that and select quality, and you can change that there depending on whatever your Wi-Fi or your data can cope with. Now, this whole session will take around 30 minutes. We'll spend the first few minutes explaining what Be Internet Legends is and why it's more important now than ever. Then we'll move on to the Legends Code. Now, that's the 5 most important things for your children to remember when they're online, before thinking about digital well-being. Now, that'll take about 10 to 15 minutes, and there will be loads of opportunities for you to ask any questions and share your experiences as we go along. Finally, we'll finish off with some fantastic resources like our online game Interland and the next steps you can take from home. So, without further ado, grab yourselves a cup of tea or coffee and we will get started. In a nutshell, Be Internet Legends is an internet safety programme designed by experts for schools and families. Now, we've been teaching this in schools for about 3 years now, with a mix of interactive assemblies, really fun lessons, and our online game Interland. And we're still doing all that at the moment virtually. So what we wanted to do today is share with you some of the techniques and the tips that we've created for Be Internet Legends for you to use at home with your children if you want to. And Be Internet Legends is all about sharing, so I'd love to hear about some of the things that are working for you when it comes to supporting your kids online. So please do pop those in the chat box as we go along. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about Be Internet Legends. It's a programme that covers the most important skills and behaviours that children need to be safer and more confident online. So we break this down into easy to remember things about internet safety, ways to develop healthy habits, and ideas to make sure that they're confident explorers of the online world. Right now, I bet you're juggling loads of things at once. You might have your children at home whilst trying to work remotely, and of course, keeping in touch with your friends and family. It's a really tricky time, but you're definitely not alone. Across the world, 1.5 billion children have been at home because of the pandemic, and each of these families will have their own new normals. I'd love to hear where you're watching from this evening, maybe a little bit about what your normal looks like. So do say hello in that chat box, let us know where you're watching from. Any questions or anything you'd like to share, pop it in the chat box and I will have a look there soon, but Tim is waiting for you. Now, I just wanted to share with you a question we've been asked a lot over the last few months, and it's this. Is it okay for my children to spend more time gaming in lockdown? And what we say is it's okay to relax some of those rules as long as you're keeping an eye on how it's making them feel and making sure that they've got a really good online-offline balance. Wherever you are right now and whatever your normal looks like, Be Internet Legends is here to help your children use the internet safely and confidently and keep an eye on their digital well-being at the same time. Now, the programme includes a full internet safety curriculum, and this has been developed with help from psychologists, children's charities, education experts, and the police. Now, all the research we did told us that we needed to focus on 5 key messages, so we created the Legends Code. Now, this is a really child-friendly way for your children to think about everything they should be remembering when they're online. So I'm going to go through each of those points. So first we've got be internet sharp, think before you share. Be internet alert, check it's for real. Next we have be internet secure, protect your stuff. Then we have be internet kind, respect each other. And finally we have be internet brave, when in doubt, discuss. Now, before I pause to have a look in the chat box, I just want to briefly introduce you to the digital wellbeing part of the programme. Now, we encourage children to think about how technology is making them feel, the positives and the negatives, and really reflect on their own screen use. And this might be helpful, especially right now if they are spending more time online, and it might even help save some of those screen time squabbles some of you might be having. Okay, I'm going to have a little look in the chat box. Oh, Tim's popped the link for the teaching resource for Be Internet Legends, so if you are interested you can have a download of that if you just click on that link. There's no more questions there, but if you do have any questions as we go along, just pop them in that chat box. Tim is waiting and I will have a look in a few moments. But now what I'm going to do is take you through each part of the Legends Code in a bit more detail, starting with Be Internet Sharp. Now, this one's all about managing your privacy and protecting your personal information online. We always tell children to think before they share. And whilst they're stuck at home a little bit more, your children might want to share more than they normally would, but it's just as important that they are careful as ever. Now, this applies if they're sharing photos or videos or having video chats, that they need to make sure that there's nothing in the background that they wouldn't want anybody else to see. Now, you can help your children to be internet sharp by having a conversation with them about what information's okay to share and what information should be kept private. And really break this down with your children, because some information might be okay to share with, say, close friends and close family that you wouldn't want to share with anybody else. And then maybe having a think of your child might have online friends who they game with, for example. Thinking about what information is okay to share with those online friends and what information should be kept private. And then opening it wider and thinking about anybody else who is on the internet. Now, the second part of the code is Be Internet Alert. And this one kind of gives the kids the skills to be online detectives. So they're spotting for clues that something might be fake or misleading, or it could even be a scam. Now, in the assemblies, we always tell children to check on any links before clicking on them. We encourage them to spot out for a padlock, a closed padlock in the address bar, because if a website has one of those, it's a good sign it's more secure and safer to use. Now, we always tell children if they're ever unsure about anything they see online to check in with a trusted adult who can help. So that might be you, or it could be another family member, a carer, or their teachers if they're back in school. Now, there are loads of scams and misleading news stories going around during the pandemic, but we find once your children know the tips and the tricks, they can often spot them a mile off. Okay, next part of the code is Be Internet Secure. Now, this one's all about protecting your personal information and keeping everything safe online. Now, there are some really simple security things you can do at home with your children, like creating a super strong password. Now, your super strong password needs to be a mixture of lowercase letters, uppercase letters, numbers and symbols. It needs to be at least 8 characters more. We talk to children about how it's really important to have a password that's easy for them to remember, but really difficult for somebody else to guess. So there's no point it being the name of your pet or your favourite sports team, because that is just too easy. Once you've got your super strong password, you need to keep it to yourself, so don't be sharing it with your best friend. We talk about the importance of having different passwords for different accounts and making sure that you're changing them often to keep everything super secure. We're also reminding children to make sure they are logging out of all their accounts properly. Now, this one's especially important if they're using shared devices or computers now they're back at school or in the local library. Okay, next part of the code is Be Internet Kind. Now, this part of the code helps children to understand all the ways communicating online is different to communicating in person. So it's all about keeping the messages fun and kind and thinking really carefully about what they're sending, finding all the positive ways to stay in touch with friends and family. And even though communicating online is different to communicating in person, you can still use some of those same techniques. So we tell children to think about, would I say this out loud? Or would I say this to the other person's face? So asking them questions, and if the answer is no to those questions, they shouldn't send it or say it online. We also get children to really analyse their own messages they're sending. So asking questions like, will this message come across how I mean it to? So really thinking about all the kind, positive ways to stay in touch with everybody. Now we're on for the final part of the Be Internet Legends code. Now, Be Internet Brave gives children the confidence and the space to talk about anything that's been on their mind when they've been online. Now, this is especially important if it makes them feel a little bit worried or nervous, embarrassed or upset. It's always best to be brave and to talk to you about it. Now, they'll be used to their teachers checking in with them at school, so this can be something really useful for you to continue at home. And it might be a nice idea to make it a regular part of your day. So it could be when you're having your dinner or your tea, or maybe when you're walking the dog, and just be chatting to your children about what they've been doing online, who they've been chatting to, what games they've been playing. And then if they ever do have a problem, it'll feel really normal and relaxed to talk to you about. And that's it. That's the Legends Code. Teaching your children the most important skills and behaviours to enjoy the internet safely and confidently. Now, we've been through the Legends Code, but you guys do this every day. So I'd love to hear about some of your tips about how you're chatting to your children about some of these topics. Now, we've got loads and loads of resources to share with you, but we completely understand that this stuff isn't always easy. So my question to you is this: how do you encourage your children to talk to you about what they've been doing online? Once again, we've got Tim waiting in the chat box for you, and I'll have a look in a few moments. Now, before I do that, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the digital wellbeing part of the programme. Now, research tells us that there's no fixed rules about how much time a child should be spending online. So instead of rules, we want to encourage children to develop their own healthy habits so that you don't have to keep reminding them. Now, I'm going to share with you 2 exercises that we encourage children to do at school, which you can try at home if you want to. So first one is we encourage children to track their feelings using emojis when they're online. So for example, your child might be playing a game online, and when they start that game, they're so happy to play, they're really excited, so they draw a picture of a really smiley, happy-faced emoji. And then as they're playing the game, they're really starting to struggle because They keep losing their lives, they don't know how to complete the game, and they start to feel actually a little bit angry. So they draw a really angry face emoji. That was my angry face. And then maybe as they continue to play, they achieve what they want to do, they succeed to the next level, and they are feeling so proud of themselves, they give themselves 2 big thumbs up. Now, what this exercise allows you, and more importantly your children, to do is they can see how they were feeling at different parts in that game or online activity, but more importantly, how their feelings changed over time. Now, another exercise we encourage children to do in school, which you could try at home, is we encourage children to keep a digital diary. So it might be that your child is online for a set amount of time a day, but during that time they're doing a varied, lots of different online activity. So it's very varied. So they might be doing some schoolwork or research, then chatting with their friends, playing games, doing something creative like vlogging, or maybe editing photos or videos. So what this allows children to do is see that their online activity is varied, but also make sure that they've got lots of healthy offline activity too. Now, that is a whistle-stop tour through the Be Internet Legends programme. Now, Be Internet Legends is in about 70% of schools, so chances are when you tackle this stuff at home, you're really reinforcing some important messages. Now, we're launching more and more resources to help out where we can, and we've already got some fantastic things you can do straight after this conversation. Now, our first one is Interland. Now, this is an online game made by ParentZone and Google, and kids absolutely love it. Now, as they're exploring the different islands of Interland, they're completing challenges based on the Legends Code, learning how to become really confident, fearless explorers. Now, this can be something really fun for you to play with your children and really open up some of those discussions about the topics we've been covering today. And I absolutely love the game. Kind Kingdom's my favourite, but Mindful Mountain I can't complete. I don't really know how to do it, so I'd love to hear about how you and your children get on with it. Any tips for Mindful Mountain, send them my way. And maybe you could make this into a bit of a competition in your household. See who can get the highest score. Maybe person with the lowest score has to do the dishes. Now, if you still have some time after maybe adapting to working remotely and trying to get that online shopping slot, we've got more and more resources. Now, these are designed to be really fun to do together as a family, and they're based on each part of the Legends Code. Now, Tim's popped a link for all our resources in the chat box, so do check them out. We'll be adding more and more resources in the upcoming weeks as well, so do keep your eye out for those. Now, we know it's not always easy to keep your children entertained and educated at home, but Be Internet Legends is here to help. It'll help you know that they know how to stay safe and be confident when they're online, playing, learning and staying connected. Now, before I dash, I'm going to have a little look in that chat box. Fantastic. Tim's popped a few different links in there, so do check those out. Now, if you do have any other questions, it might be something you didn't want to share in a public forum, or this always happens to me. Later on, I'll be like, I should have asked that. We have got an email address on our screen now. Now remember, there is no such thing as a bad question, and there's no question too big or too small. Pop it in an email and somebody from our headquarters will get back to you with an answer. We've also got our Parent Hub, so do check that out because that's got loads of really useful guides and handy hints and tips for you to have a look at. I really hope this session has been useful. If it has, please do let all your other parent, friends and family members know, because we want to spread the word of Be Internet Legends across the country. Tim's going to pop a link for a survey in the chat box. Now this survey will take about 30 seconds and it'd be really useful if you could fill it in. It just helps us know if what we're talking about is relevant to you and helps us improve our future sessions. I'm going to take one last look in the chat box. Fab. Lovely. Well, thank you all so much for joining me this evening. I've really enjoyed talking to you all. There's nothing left for me to say now, but goodbye. See you later. Oh, bye.